Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today on Perspectives, we talk with the superintendent of Southwest Alabama's second largest school system, Baldwin County Schools. Eddie Tyler has led the school system since September of 2015. The Baldwin County system is highly rated. There are 46 schools in the system, and with nearly 32,000 students, 3,400 teachers and staff, Baldwin County is ranked within the top 20% of Alabama's 143 school districts. And that's based off of combined math and reading proficiency testing data. Their student test scores are also in the top 20% among all of Alabama's schools. The student-teacher ratio, 18-1, and they boast an 88% graduation rate. Now, in one list of best school districts in Alabama published in September of 2023, Baldwin County is ranked number 24. The ratings are based on reviews from students, parents, along with the data from the U.S. Department of Education. Ranking factors include state test scores, college readiness, graduation rates, the teacher quality, public school district ratings, and more. Baldwin County Schools received an A- grade overall by one rating system, and the administration received the same grade. Our guest today is Eddie Tyler, superintendent of the Baldwin County Schools. The Mobile native is a product of Mobile County Public Schools, a graduate of Murphy High School and the University of South Alabama. He was a teacher in the Mobile County system for 4 years back in the 1980s. Superintendent Eddie Tyler is now in his 48th consecutive year in education. Now, Superintendent Tyler describes himself as a blue-collar worker in a white-collar position. Well, after a quick break this morning, we'll talk with the Baldwin County Schools Superintendent Eddie Tyler, a nearly 35-year veteran also of the Baldwin County School System. A conversation about the successes of Baldwin County Schools and its students, new construction and additions to the schools, a Baldwin Prep update, and a first-of-its-type funding partnership. Perspectives continues in just a moment. And welcome back to Perspectives. Today we're talking with Eddie Tyler, superintendent of the Baldwin County Schools. We welcome him to the program this morning. You know, we haven't had a chance to talk since COVID as far as this type of situation with Perspectives. And I said, you know, we'd get you over here to talk about some things. And as I was doing some of my homework, I was saying there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about, including Eddie Tyler. I think that is awesome.
Pretty boring.
Well, I tell you, though, you know, you have had a lot of great experiences over the years in your long 48-year career in education. So I wanted to start out with just reading a few of these here. It says that you're a teacher, bus driver, assistant coach, athletic director, and of course, head football coach, baseball, soccer, tennis, and track coach as well. And you served even for an assistant principal position for 7 years, a high school principal for 4 years prior to going to Eufaula as the superintendent. You served as an assistant superintendent in the Baldwin County school system. And I think the only thing we maybe left out is that you also taught at a private school up in Monroeville. So you've had an incredible career, and I wonder, do all those experiences you think come to the table to make you who you are and how successful you've been in this last position that you've been in?
Eric, I believe truly that they have. Sometimes, you know, you don't actually plan that out.
Right.
You just go ahead and do your job, and if you're doing your job well, people will recognize that. I never was one for accolades or awards for myself. It was for other people. But I've been rewarded, I think, for being a loyal, trustworthy, faithful employee of any system I've ever been in. And I do feel like that I tell my staff a lot of times when maybe we're trying to determine what to do about something, I tell them that sometimes, you know, you might want to listen to me because I have learned something in 48 years. Right. And every now and then they do give me a little credit for some things. So, but I'm surrounded by tremendous people that are so knowledgeable. And you mentioned our employees. I mean, we've got, with all of our classified and our certified, we're really over 4,000 employees.
Wow.
And I attribute our success to them.
Looking at the statement you make about being a blue-collar worker in a white-collar position, when you look at what it takes to be in this position, how does that translate? Because, of course, you're dealing with a lot of different people from different experiences.
Well, I came from humble beginnings with my mother and father and 5 brothers and sisters. And my father was just a hard worker, and my mother eventually had to be a stay-at-home mom. And so you learn a lot of things by living sometimes without. And not that we ever were poor or went without anything, but I was born off Michigan Avenue in Birdville, and then eventually moved over near the old Florida bowling alley.
Okay.
And went to Murphy, like you said. But I think how I grew up, and then eventually becoming an administrator, knowing that when you get into that arena, you are dealing with more than just the average run-of-the-mill things every day. You're dealing with politics, even though I'm not a politician, but you deal with politics, you deal with local governments, state governments, the feds. So you kind of have to learn how to adapt, improvise, and overcome.
When you look at where you were coming out of South Alabama, or even before, maybe, when did you decide that you were going to go into education as a career?
Well, when I entered South, I was in business.
Okay.
And I think when I sat in an auditorium with about 400 students, listening to the teacher discuss facts and figures of the business world, I started scratching my head and said, maybe there's another way.
Right.
And so, but helping out at Murphy, while I was in college, I was allowed to go and just kind of be a gopher there. I'd go to classes and I'd go to help with football or some other thing at Murphy. It started tweaking my interest, and so eventually I said, this is maybe something, because I enjoyed athletics and I enjoy students, and so teaching has been my life.
Anyone in the family who had taught as you were growing up and you had experienced some of that or heard their dialogue?
No, strangely enough, no. No one in my family. My little sister's went into psychology, and have a sister that's a nurse, and my brother worked hard at DeGusa for 25 years, and an older sister that actually was executive secretary in the Mobile County Schools in Mary Montgomery and at Murphy. And so just everybody kind of plowed their own field, and our parents let us do that. And my father went through the 11th grade at Murphy, and a self-taught accountant, and you just they allowed us to make our mistakes and do the things we felt like to be successful.
When you think back about the beginnings, a lot of coaches that I remember having in school and growing up and knowing, many of them left education after a while, but yet you found something that kept you in there.
Well, I coached for 23 years of my 48, my first 23, and I actually thought I was going to be a lifer in coaching. And the opportunity arose when one of my superintendents that I worked under said, I want you to be an interim AP, and you can continue to be a head football coach, athletic director. And so I just jumped into that end of the pool and completed the certifications I needed in college, and from there my administrative career started.
When you talk about that aspect of athletics, you had a chance to be a part of starting a school's program. What was that like?
It was interesting, to say the least. Daphne High School, when we opened in 1989, was the first high school in 37 years. To open in Baldwin County. You always had 3 or 4 of the big schools, Fairhope and Foley and Bay Minette, but it was the first one in 37 years, and it was an experience. We were right on the doorstep of Lake Forest, and Lake Forest, I think, had just been incorporated into Daphne, so it was a lot going on. But I was there for 5 years, and I treasure those memories. And I don't know how big a part I had in launching their successes, but naturally they've had a wonderful run in athletics, and they're an excellent academic school. So we were just babies at the time, but we've survived.
And you mentioned the aspect of Lake Forest, and I guess I was part of the precipitous for having to build a high school there, and you're still seeing that kind of situation now as the county grows. And we were talking earlier about the boom in certain parts of the county, and you've had to add some other high schools in your time, 35 years in the county. Well,
we added Orange Beach, which they decided to go their own way, but we added Orange Beach. Gulf Shores High School was established, right before I went down there as a principal. I actually went down there as a principal for 5 years, and they had been in existence for 4. So the high school realm, we started, a Spanish Fort was built, and then you had, I just mentioned Orange Beach, but a lot of the families moving into Baldwin County have young children. And so that's why our elementary population has exploded. It catches up in middle school, but I could see a high school coming somewhere in Baldwin County. It's unavoidable within probably the next 5 or 6 years.
We're going to talk more about that and construction as well as additions when we continue the program this morning. But thanks for sharing about yourself, because a lot of times we don't get to hear some of the things and experiences that have made Eddie Tyler who he is. And I was teasing you when you first came in that if anyone ever says, what good comes out of Mobile, I'm going to mention your name.
You're awful kind, and I have trouble talking about me. I like talking about everybody else.
Well, we're looking forward to talking more about your school system then when we come back and share those successes as well as some of the challenges that it takes to make Baldwin County schools happen. Our special guest this morning, Eddie Tyler. Perspectives continues in just a moment.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We're talking to Eddie Tyler, the superintendent of Baldwin County Schools this morning, and had a little opportunity to hear more about who Eddie Tyler is. But now let's talk about the schools. And they've been extremely successful, and you've had a lot of people coming from other areas drawn to Baldwin County because of the school system. What does it take to make that happen?
Takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedicated employees. And, I might be leading the system, but the results, our success comes from our 4,000 plus employees, Eric. Our teachers, our classified, they care truly about what goes on. Even though we're a large school system, it still feels like a family. I mean, I was born and raised in Mobile County and educated in Mobile County, and it'll always be special to me. But Baldwin County has a feel of family. And so for the last 10 years, I've been back now 10 years, and I told the board, I said, a lot of things are important and that make up a school system, but academics leads. I said, sports deserves a spot at the table, but not at the head of the table. Right. And it's hard for a 23-year coach to say that a lot of times, but academics leads our system.
And you've had a lot of success when they look at the numbers and the rankings within the school systems. We're talking about the top 20% of 138, or I keep seeing two different numbers, 146, 138. I'm sure it's changing now with some of the smaller cities. Yes. But that is a good percentage, and it's something that, of course, I'm sure you all are proud of in the staff and educators there in Baldwin County. What do you think has been the driving force to make that happen? Because it doesn't happen everywhere.
Well, I want to think that trust, first, that trust had to be established. When I got back, there was a lot of silos in Baldwin County, a lot of misinformation, a lot of mistrust. And I think that Baldwin County kind of created that mistrust with the public. And coming back, because when we first got back 10 years ago, several of our tax referendums failed. And it took us about 2 years to restore the public's trust to vote those taxes back. And Baldwin County only has 12 mills of ad valorem tax, and 2 are discretionary. So the rest of that is your local mill match that we have to do with the state. But we just started managing our money well. People started to see that we meant what we said and we were going to do what we said. And we recruited great teachers and still recruiting great teachers and good administrators. I think the big key is I have a board that allows me to run the system. A board creates policy and a board hires superintendents. And, a superintendent is charged to run a school system, and I have to say our board allows me to do that.
When you talk about money, you recently have some things going on where you've got a unique partnership now created, and from my understanding, it's one of the first to happen in our region where you're pulling different people to your table.
Yes, sir, we are. You're probably referring to our Baldwin Preparatory Academy, a workforce high school that is on the horizon to open in August of 2024. We've already started taking students with registration. But that partnership is coming from several areas that I don't think ever's been done. Our state is contributing money. Our county commission is contributing money. We've accumulated from those sources over $15 million, and we have $5 million in private funding coming from corporations, and we've started a foundation, and we've got more people coming on board. So we're excited that they're excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll talk about the Prep Academy.
Yes, sir.
What exactly will that, when we hear that technical part and tying into workforce development, so important today, how is that going to work?
Eric, we've been working on this idea for 5 years of the 10 I've been back. I got tired of hearing everybody from the state level saying our workforce is aging, but nobody was doing anything about it. So I went to our board. Our board stepped out in faith. We decided to initiate this workforce high school, but it's a high school for 10th through 12th graders, and it has different areas. Airbus will be a partner with us, hopefully. The Infirmary Health, USA Health, state-of-the-art laboratories, construction, because you can come a student in the 10th grade and say you want to go into medicine. You can go through our state-of-the-art health science classrooms and graduate from one of your schools here in Baldwin County, and then go on to college and go into med school. So it's not just saying, well, it's a workforce high school, you have to be a plumber or a welder or some kind of craftsman, which you can come out of there being because there's such a demand. But you can also graduate from there and get your start heading toward college to pursue a professional career.
That sounds so needed today, because a lot of times there are kids where college is not their reality for whatever reason, but there are so many opportunities to either work with your hands, to the different trade skills, and not only is it good money, it's also an opportunity for long-term and to have your own business.
Absolutely. Well, I can't fix my car. Right. I don't know if you can, but the
Not
way
these new
the
ones.
electronics are nowadays.
Exactly.
But you will have that auto mechanic area that's state of the art. We'll have, the plumbing, the welding. I'm not a welder, but I know Austell is looking for welders. They can't find them. Carpenters. Cosmetology is going to be part of it, which is in high demand, and cybersecurity. Just a wealth of areas that a student can go into and come out of there, right out of here, not maybe if they didn't want to go to college, and start a career making good money.
Talk about some of the successes of your students now, because your scores have increased, you've had increase in the graduation rate.
Yes, sir.
How is that going?
Well, first you assemble a great team, and I have a great team of academic people at our central office level who work with our schools, and our teachers are so excited about wanting to succeed. Our report card score has gone from an 85 to an 86. We scratch our head about that a little bit because 28 of our schools improved. I was told about another system in the state who had 16 schools not improve, but they went up 5 points on their report card. So I've got to look into that a little bit. I don't think the state legislature exactly has it right or how this should be done, but we're proud of that. 28 have improved, 8 remained normal. Right now our ACT scores, our average ATC score and benchmark scores are the highest they've ever been in 10 years. So we're very excited about that. We went from an 18.3, I think, or 6 to a 19.3 average. All of our scores have increased, and we're adding students. Our AP classes, we're full of dual enrollment students, so it's very exciting what we're doing.
We've got about a minute left. Talk about the construction where you are making space available for, you speak of elementary and middle school especially.
Yes. Right now we've got a new Loxley Elementary and a new Silver Hill Elementary under construction. We're finalizing some plans on a new Alberta Middle School. We're adding to Daphne Elementary, Magnolia, and to one other elementary school escapes me, but we're adding to those. We are constantly buying land in preparation for more schools. You know, so it's just we're exploding. I mean, Eric, when we finish, all our schools are being paid for. You know, it doesn't cost the county anything since the penny tax was renewed. In probably the next year or so, we will have spent $500 million on construction with no new taxes to the citizens of Baldwin County.
You can't beat that at all.
That's pretty good.
Eddie Tyler, we thank you for joining us today and sharing and talking about who Eddie Tyler is, as well as the successes of what has happened under your tenure as superintendent. And of course, we wish you continued and much success.
Thank you, Eric.
Our very special guest, Eddie Tyler. And for more information about Baldwin County Schools, we're told that it has a ton of information for you available at the bcbe.org. And you can also go to their social media sites, including Facebook, to learn more and to get any questions asked about where you're headed. Well, thanks for joining us here today on Perspectives. We've got a lot more available for you on the internet, fox10tv.com, as well as all of our social media platforms. Until next time, you have a great day.